kind of crazy. You don't hear of things like Walmart closing. Walmart.
A shocker tonight for suburban shoppers. Walmart announcing it's closing 3 stores.
The stores to be closed are spread across the area from north to south in Lincolnwood, Plainfield, and Homewood. The Homewood announcement is being met with criticism from customers and the mayor.
Tonight we have new information about Walmart's plan to close 2 of its San Diego stores. You wanted to know why they're shutting down, and CBS 8's Shannon Handy has been working for you to get some answers.
In May 2025, Walmart, the iconic symbol of American retail, sent shockwaves through the economy with a stunning announcement that disrupted its long-standing image as the nation's go-to destination for low prices. The company warned of a significant surge in prices, driven by a new wave of tariffs imposed by President Donald Trump. But this wasn't just about more expensive avocados or toys. It marked a seismic shift that touched everything from global supply chains and automation strategies to the political turmoil coming out of the White House. Walmart's transformation carries far-reaching consequences, not just for retail, but for American jobs, household budgets, and the broader economy. On May 15, 2025, CEO Doug McMillan delivered a sobering update. Widespread price hikes were inevitable. Trump's tariffs on Chinese goods had briefly soared to a staggering 145% before stabilizing at 30%, making it impossible for Walmart, a company built on razor-thin margins, to absorb the added cost. CFO John David Rainey didn't mince words, warning that price increases would begin in June and climb further in July, hitting just in time for the back-to-school shopping rush. And this wasn't limited to specialty items. Everyday essentials were about to get much more expensive. Everyday essentials like bananas, avocados, and baby products experienced noticeable price hikes, while items like electronics and toys saw even sharper increases. A Barbie doll, for example, jumped from $10.49 to $14.99 in just 1 week. In response, Trump reacted with characteristic aggression, demanding that Walmart absorb the tariffs. However, anyone familiar with business or household budgeting knows that tariffs function as taxes. They don't simply disappear. When a retailer known for low prices starts raising them, it's a clear sign of strain spreading throughout the supply chain. But rising prices were only the surface. Behind the scenes, Walmart was already undergoing a major transformation to stay afloat. As consumers struggled with sticker shock, the company was quietly redrawing its global sourcing map, shifting production away from the U.S. and investing heavily in suppliers from Vietnam, India, and Mexico. This wasn't a knee-jerk move. It was a calculated, strategic shift. Programs like Grow With Us replaced the company's former Made in USA pledges, focusing instead on building a tariff-resistant logistics network abroad. Even product packaging was re-engineered, with aluminum swapped for fiberglass to sidestep import duties.
I mean, John David, I think it's important to start with that discussion on tariffs. Walmart's foundation is everyday low prices, but because of tariffs, maybe not so low today, not as low as they were yesterday, and perhaps we're looking at higher prices to come. What's Walmart's strategy?
I want to start with, we had a good quarter in what is an otherwise pretty unpredictable and dynamic environment right now. Our goal, though, we're wired to keep prices low for customers. But the level of tariffs that have been proposed is pretty challenging for all retailers, for suppliers, and certainly our concern is that consumers are going to feel some of that. So we're going to keep prices as low as we can for as long as we can.
Walmart also ramped up its automation efforts. At first glance, the introduction of robotics and AI in stores seemed like a bold, innovative step forward. But beneath the surface, it was a calculated move to combat rising labor costs and shrinking profit margins brought on by tariffs. Critics were quick to condemn the shift, calling it a betrayal of Walmart's all-American identity and accusing the company of turning its back on its roots. For Walmart's leadership, however, survival was the priority. Tariffs had made domestic manufacturing financially unsustainable, forcing even iconic companies like Walmart to adapt or face collapse. This shift sparked political outrage. When President Trump learned that Walmart was moving more of its operations overseas, he reportedly erupted in anger behind closed doors, seeing it as a betrayal of the American people, and even considered pulling federal contracts. He doubled down publicly with a fiery post on Truth Social, demanding that Walmart absorb the tariffs and maintain low prices. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick echoed Trump's stance, arguing that companies should bear the burden. But economists quickly pushed back, pointing out that tariffs are essentially import taxes, costs that inevitably fall on someone, whether it's businesses, consumers, or both. Walmart stood its ground. CEO Doug McMillan reiterated the company's commitment to U.S. jobs, but acknowledged the harsh financial realities of retail's narrow margins. Still, the public relations fallout was significant. Many in Trump's base labeled Walmart as unpatriotic, despite its long-standing ties to American communities. Unlike previous targets of Trump's ire, such as Harley-Davidson or General Motors, Walmart holds a unique position as a cornerstone of the American retail landscape. If even Walmart is pulling back from the domestic economy, it signals a broader failure of tariff-based economic policy. Walmart's latest financial disclosures highlight the growing strain it faces. In the first quarter of 2025, the company showed signs of resilience, but warning signs were evident beneath the surface. Revenue rose to $165.61 billion, driven by strong grocery sales and e-commerce performance. However, profits declined. While Walmart exceeded analyst expectations, it did so largely through aggressive cost-cutting measures and early stockpiling of imports, strategies that mask underlying weaknesses in retail performance. CEO Doug McMillan and CFO John David Rainey were upfront. Tariffs are cutting into profitability. For example, a Chinese-made car seat that once sold for $350 now costs over $450. Similar price jumps are expected for strollers, electronics, and seasonal items. Walmart isn't alone in raising prices. Companies like Mattel and Procter & Gamble are doing the same. But Walmart's sheer scale, with over 3,600 stores and 150 million weekly shoppers, magnifies its impact on the broader economy. Initially, investors reacted nervously, but many soon saw Walmart's push toward automation, overseas sourcing, and AI-driven operations as necessary survival tactics. Still, this stabilization comes with a steep cost to everyday Americans. Consumer confidence is falling, with 75% of Americans blaming tariffs for rising prices. Walmart's pivot isn't so much a betrayal as it is a response to unsustainable pressures, but the consequences are deeply felt in communities across the country. Small towns, where Walmart is often the largest employer, are bearing the brunt. Families are losing jobs and hours. Distribution centers are shrinking, local suppliers are being dropped, and truckers are seeing reduced demand. These disruptions ripple through local economies, affecting everything from housing and school budgets to healthcare access. As Walmart moves its sourcing abroad, many small manufacturers that depended on its contracts are being forced to shut down. Meanwhile, Walmart is investing in tech-heavy stores and fulfillment centers designed for an online-first future. But these next-generation models require far fewer workers, leaving rural areas increasingly sidelined. The changes are drawing concern from lawmakers, as the transformation of America's largest retailer brings into focus the deeper costs of globalization and tariff-driven policy. Economists have cautioned that Trump's threats to impose new tariffs on companies that offshore jobs could worsen inflation and stall economic growth. For working Americans, the choice is bleak: pay more or lose more. With rising tensions and livelihoods on the line, the path ahead is increasingly uncertain. Is Walmart abandoning the U.S.? Not in a physical sense. Its stores remain, but its sourcing, strategy, and overall direction are shifting. Tariffs haven't revived American manufacturing. Instead, they've driven companies like Walmart to move operations overseas, cut jobs, and accelerate automation. Walmart, long seen as the embodiment of American retail, now reflects a sobering truth. Patriotic slogans can't compete with harsh financial realities. As prices climb, communities suffer, and the trade war escalates, Walmart's shift may only be the beginning. If the largest name in retail is turning abroad to survive, what's to stop others? This transformation raises serious questions. Is Walmart's move an unavoidable business decision or a betrayal of American workers? Can companies realistically absorb the costs of tariffs? Or is that an unfair expectation? And what are the long-term consequences of automation replacing local jobs in towns that rely on retailers like Walmart? The answers aren't simple, but they're critical to understanding where American retail and the broader economy are headed. Walmart's evolution is more than just a corporate strategy. It's a bellwether of our economic future. As tariffs reshape global trade and automation redefines work, the ripple effects will touch every corner of American life. From consumer budgets to small-town economies, one thing is becoming increasingly clear: the era of cheap goods and stable retail jobs is fading, and Walmart's pivot is a stark warning of what lies ahead.